Did you know you can eat delicious, satisfying food without constantly counting calories, all while seeing your lab results improve day after day? It might sound like magic, but actually it's just biochemistry. Hey everyone. Today, I'm inviting you into my kitchen. I'm going to show you exactly everything I eat in a single day to keep my insulin resistance strictly under control. A lot of people think that a diagnosis of prediabetes or even diabetes means a life sentence of eating plain boiled broccoli. I'm here to prove to you that is total nonsense. We'll be cooking breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and I'm going to reveal one secret ingredient that everyone has in their pantry, but very few people know just how powerfully it can lower blood sugar. Are you ready to change your life, one plate at a time? Let's get started. But before we start cooking, let's quickly clarify one essential thing. What exactly is insulin resistance? Imagine your body's cells are a house, and insulin is a delivery driver knocking on the door to drop off a package. That package is glucose, energy from your food. In a healthy body, the door opens, the package is delivered, and everyone is happy. With insulin resistance, the lock on that door is rusty. The delivery driver knocks, pounds on the door, and even calls for backup. The result is a whole crowd of insulin piling up in your bloodstream while your cells are starving for energy. My goal today is to show you a menu that, metaphorically speaking, oils those locks. We're going to lower insulin levels, not by starving ourselves, but by using the right combination of foods. This is my personal approach, which has worked for me and is backed by a lot of modern research. So, my morning doesn't start with coffee, and it doesn't even start with breakfast. It starts with water. But it's not just a plain glass of water. I add 1 tablespoon of apple cider vinegar to it. Why do I do this? It might sound strange, but the science actually backs me up here. Acetic acid helps your muscles more actively absorb glucose as soon as it enters your system with food. This lowers the blood sugar spike from your upcoming breakfast by about 30%. Now, if you have stomach issues, just drink a glass of warm water with lemon instead. The main goal is to activate your gastrointestinal tract and restore your hydration levels after the night. Dehydration is stressful for the body, and stress, as we know, raises both cortisol and blood sugar. So, drink your water and get ready for breakfast. Let's move on to the single most important meal of the day, breakfast. This is where most people make a critical mistake. They reach for oatmeal topped with fruit, toast, and jam, or those sweetened yogurts. If you struggle with insulin resistance, that kind of breakfast is basically a ticket straight on to the blood sugar roller coaster. Your blood sugar spikes, your insulin spikes, and just 2 hours later, you're hungry again and totally drained. My rule number 1 is this: your breakfast must be savory. And crucially, it needs to be packed with protein and healthy fats. I want my insulin to wake up slowly and lazily, not jump up like an alarm bell just went off. So that means absolutely no processed carbs or sugar first thing in the morning. So what exactly is on my plate? The core of my breakfast is eggs, usually 2 or 3 eggs. They're the perfect source of protein and choline, which is essential for liver health. I usually prepare an omelet or just soft boil them, but eggs alone aren't quite enough. We need healthy fats to keep us full and satisfied. So, I always add half an avocado. Avocado is an absolute superfood. It's packed with potassium and those crucial healthy fats that provides satiety for 3 or 4 hours. If I don't have avocado, a handful of nuts or a small piece of fatty fish works great, too. Fats do not spike your insulin. Remember that. Healthy fats are definitely your best friend at breakfast. But I don't stop there. I make sure to always add fiber to my eggs and avocado. This could be spinach leaves, cucumber, or even some slow-cooked tomatoes. Fiber creates a kind of protective mesh in the stomach, which significantly slows down the absorption rate of your entire meal. This gives you the perfect formula: protein plus fat plus fiber. This is the gold standard. After a breakfast like this, I don't get those cravings an hour later. My brain is sharp, and I have boundless energy. And most importantly, I know my blood vessels aren't suffering from a sudden glucose spike. But what about coffee? I know you've been waiting for me to address this. Yes, I do drink coffee. However, there's a specific rule I follow. I never, ever drink coffee on an empty stomach. Drinking caffeine first thing in the morning can trigger a massive cortisol spike. And when cortisol spikes, it tells your liver to dump stored sugar right into your bloodstream. So, before you've even eaten breakfast, your blood sugar levels are already elevated. That's why the rule is food first, and then you can enjoy your cup of coffee. And ideally, skip the sugar and the artificial syrups. You can add some heavy cream or full-fat coconut milk instead. It tastes great and keeps your insulin levels stable. I make a conscious effort not to snack between breakfast and lunch. This step is crucial. Every time you eat something, even a small cracker or an apple, you trigger your pancreas. If you have insulin resistance, your pancreas desperately needs that break. These clean eating windows or fasting periods are essential because they allow your insulin levels to drop. Once that happens, your body can finally start burning its own stored fat reserves for energy. Now, if you find yourself feeling hungry well before lunchtime, it's a clear sign your breakfast lacked sufficient fat or protein. The solution is simple. Ensure you add more of those macronutrients to your next meal. It's lunchtime. Lunch is my largest meal of the day. And this is where I use another powerful health hack. I call it the green starter. Before diving into my main course, I always have a small portion of salad, or just munch on some raw vegetables, things like cucumber, celery, or crisp lettuce leaves. The underlying principle is the same as having fiber at breakfast. We are essentially lining the stomach with fiber, which creates a protective buffer. This simple 2-minute action radically changes how your main meal is digested and absorbed. My main meal at lunch is structured around the healthy plate method. Half of that plate is dedicated to vegetables. These could be cauliflower, broccoli, zucchini, or green beans. Whether they are steamed, roasted, or eaten fresh, it doesn't matter. A quarter of the plate is reserved for high-quality protein, such as lean chicken breast, turkey, beef, or fish, and the remaining quarter is dedicated to complex carbohydrates. And yes, I absolutely eat carbohydrates, things like buckwheat, quinoa, brown rice, or legumes. We don't have to fear carbs. We just make sure we include them in the right combination. That means after our vegetables and paired with our protein. Speaking of carbohydrates, there's a simple trick to make them much healthier. If you cook starches like potatoes or rice and then fully chill them in the refrigerator, a portion of that starch converts into what's called resistant starch. Resistant starch is fantastic because it isn't digested in the small intestine. Instead, it functions as a powerful prebiotic, nourishing your beneficial gut bacteria. The great benefit is that your blood sugar levels will rise much less from these cooled and even reheated side dishes. I highly recommend giving this a shot. I actually prepare my major carb sides ahead of time precisely because of this scientific principle. I often feel that strong urge to lie down right after lunch. Sound familiar? That feeling is essentially your post-meal insulin response kicking in. To combat this, I use the 10-minute rule. Immediately after eating, I try to avoid sitting down or lying flat. Instead, I'll go wash the dishes, do some light tidying up, or if I can, take a short walk outside. Active muscles pull glucose from the bloodstream, minimizing the need for large amounts of insulin. Just 10 minutes of movement can work wonders for your afternoon energy levels. Let's talk about sweets. I'm only human, and I definitely get those dessert cravings sometimes. If I decide to indulge in something sweet, maybe a couple of squares of dark chocolate or a piece of fruit, I never consume it as a standalone snack. Instead, I eat it immediately after my main meal, as a designated dessert. When the sugar hits an already full stomach, one that has protein, fat, and fiber in it, the rate of sugar absorption slows down significantly. This practice is often referred to as buffering the sugar spike or closing the carb window. You get the exact same enjoyment, but the negative metabolic impact is greatly reduced. The danger zone often hits late afternoon, around 5 p.m. Your energy levels crash, and suddenly your hand is reaching for the cookie jar. If I genuinely need an afternoon pick-me-up, I opt for nuts, pumpkin seeds, or a small piece of cheese. I strictly avoid sweet energy bars, even those labeled fitness or protein. They often contain massive amounts of hidden sugar, or sometimes dates, which have a surprisingly high glycemic index. Always read the labels carefully. The best snack, frankly, is often the one that doesn't need an ingredient label. A handful of raw almonds is an ideal choice. Moving on to dinner, I always keep my dinner much lighter than lunch. The most crucial rule, however, is timing. I aim to finish eating 3 to 4 hours before I go to bed. Why exactly is this so important? Melatonin, the sleep hormone, actually suppresses insulin production. If you eat a heavy meal late at night, when your melatonin levels are high, the glucose simply floats around in your bloodstream all night. This elevated sugar damages your blood vessels because your insulin isn't able to work effectively. That's why having an early dinner is the key to maintaining healthy fasting blood sugar levels first thing in the morning. What am I cooking for dinner? Usually it's fish or seafood. Fish protein is much easier for your body to digest than meat. For a side dish, I always have a big bowl of green salad with olive oil. I try to minimize starchy carbohydrates in the evening. No heavy carbs like potatoes or pasta late at night. It's just above-ground vegetables and lean protein. This keeps me full without feeling heavy or sluggish. A great option is baked mackerel with lemon and herbs. It's delicious, healthy, and those omega-3 fatty acids help reduce inflammation. A quick but important point about evening drinks. A lot of people enjoy having kefir before bed. In fact, old-school doctors often recommended it. However, dairy products have a very high insulin index. This means they can significantly spike your insulin, even if they don't necessarily raise your blood sugar. If you are dealing with insulin resistance, drinking a glass of kefir right before bed can actually stall or inhibit your weight loss and fat-burning efforts. I personally swapped kefir for herbal tea instead. Think chamomile, mint, or lemon balm. It's naturally calming and doesn't stress the pancreas. Let's talk about stress for a moment. You could be eating perfectly, but if you are constantly stressed out or high-strung, your blood sugar is going to stay elevated. That's why I've incorporated relaxation practices into my daily regimen. In the evenings, I make sure to put my phone away. The blue light from the screen tricks the brain and throws off your natural circadian rhythms. I also take a warm bath using magnesium or Epsom salts. Magnesium is a mineral that is critically important for insulin resistance. It directly improves how sensitive your cells are to insulin. I consider this whole process part of my overall menu, a menu designed specifically for my nervous system. Spices are another crucial part of my day. I use cinnamon, turmeric, and ginger generously. Real Ceylon cinnamon, in particular, has been proven to significantly improve insulin sensitivity. I might toss a pinch into my morning coffee, or sprinkle it over a baked apple if I'm having it as an afternoon treat. Turmeric, on the other hand, is a powerful antioxidant. Food shouldn't just be fuel, it needs to be a functional tool. Don't be afraid to experiment with flavor. Bland food is a direct path to cravings and eventually falling off the wagon. What about cheat meals? Do I ever slip up? Absolutely. We're all human, after all. I might go to a birthday party and have a slice of cake. The most important thing is not to beat yourself up over it. Guilt creates stress, and stress often drives more sugar cravings. If I overindulge, I don't punish myself by starving the next day. I simply get right back on track with my usual routine: ACV water, a high-protein breakfast, and plenty of vegetables. Your body is smart. It can easily forgive a single mistake, as long as the foundation of your overall nutrition is solid. Preparation is the ultimate key to success. Every Sunday, I spend just 1 hour to batch cook protein, hard-boil some eggs, and wash my leafy greens. When you open the fridge and see healthy food ready to go, you drastically reduce the temptation to order takeout or pizza. Insulin resistance thrives on chaos and spontaneous unplanned snacking. Order and structured planning are its greatest enemies. Invest in quality, attractive containers, and commit to meal prepping. This is an investment in your health that starts paying off instantly. And finally, the last rule of my day: sleep. If I get less than 7 hours, my appetite the next day is absolutely ravenous, and my cells become significantly less sensitive to insulin. This is a scientifically proven fact. That's why I make sure my day ends at the same time every night. A dark, cool room and a comfortable pillow are non-negotiable. Sleep is truly your best free endocrinologist. Don't sacrifice it trying to squeeze in extra tasks or finish everything on your to-do list. Your health is simply more important. And that's a wrap on my typical day. Does it sound complicated? Maybe, but only at first glance. In reality, this approach gives you incredible freedom. Freedom from constant hunger, from those shaky, anxious feelings, and from that brain fog. The main secret isn't about eating less, it's about eating smarter. We've learned how to strategically combine our foods, incorporating things like apple cider vinegar, essential fiber, and movement. And the results will follow quickly. Just try living this way for 1 week. I promise you'll be amazed by how much sustained energy you actually have. Thank you so much for spending the day with me. If you found this helpful, please subscribe to the channel and give this video a thumbs up. It really helps me keep creating content. Let me know in the comments what food or product is the hardest for you to give up. Let's discuss some healthy substitutions down below. Stay healthy, everyone, and I'll see you in the next video.